All right, everyone, we have Dana Hork with us. You will learn a little bit more about her, but actually, I'm going to tell you right now that Dana and I know each other from college. Yes, yes, yes. We'll jump into that in just a second. But Dana is a transformational brand leader and marketer who captivates audiences with perspective gleaned working with globally known brands like Walmart, JP Morgan, PepsiCo, and at innovative startups and scale ups like Jet.com, Wonder, and as an entrepreneur. She's building a new approach to on-tap creative. Her experience working with agencies and leading marketing functions have inspired her to found a new kind of creative micro agency called Beers with Friends, activating the industry's best creatives and subject matter experts to help marketers solve big problems. With Beers with Friends, Work's mission is to help brands drive their businesses forward faster and better without the BS. And she's a transformational leader. She has led the transformation of Walmart's approach to social media, revamping its social media presence across its national channels and 5,000 local store pages, doubling customer engagement, generating positive press for the world's largest company, and building new muscle and momentum internally as a social forward brand. Her education, she got an MBA from Harvard Business School, an MPA from Columbia University, and a BA in economics and communication from the University of Pennsylvania. Summa cum laude, a lot of degrees, a lot of honors there. I love that. Student body president. And during her time at Penn, Dana was elected by USA Today as one of the top 20 graduating college students nationally. Dana, thank you so much.
This is so much fun, Kim. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Thank you for having me.
And I already sort of spoiled the excitement, but Dana and I knew each other in college, not just went to college together, but knew each other in college. We were both on student government. And Dana stuck it out. You stuck it out the long haul. I did it just for a few years. Um, but I'm really excited. Dana and I reconnected in the last few years since she has left corporate. And I'm really excited to bring your story in here and to learn more about it. So first I just want to get into like what made you decide to work for yourself? What made you decide to leave corporate?
So I've always been entrepreneurial, whether it's been in high school starting a newsletter or in college I started a nonprofit called Change for Change. I I ran a speaker series when I worked at JP Morgan. I've always been entrepreneurial, had entrepreneurial energy, and come from a family of builders and makers and entrepreneurs. So for me, starting Beers with Friends, a creative agency that I co-founded with my longtime creative partner, James Wood, who's a longtime agency creative leader, felt like a natural next step. I think finding white spaces in the world and seeing an opportunity to fill them has always brought me a lot of joy, and I'm finding that's still the truth with Beers with Friends.
What did your parents do that you said you come from a family of builders and makers?
Yeah, so my dad has a software business. My mom, while she worked in corporate, and my dad also worked in corporate, had a corporate gifts business. My grandfather had a garage, a tire shop. My great grandfather was a tailor. We just, I've been doing some family history digging, and it makes a lot of sense. We've always been builders and entrepreneurs.
That's funny. Actually, I didn't realize that either, Dana, that my dad also had a software company and my grandma was a seamstress. So anyway, we have a lot of similarities. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but I didn't know that before.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, talk to me about I love I love reading that you ran social marketing for Walmart. What did you learn about social media or you're along the ride as so many of us. What did you learn about social media from your experience at Walmart that is applicable to people now?
Well, first of all, I loved that experience in my career. I came to Walmart by way of Jet.com. I was an early hire at Jet. I ran different marketing teams there from the brand team, which included social at Jet, and the retention team. And so when we were acquired by Walmart, they asked me to go lead social media for Walmart. And, the time, this was 2017 to 2019, was very much Walmart was building further its social muscle and digital DNA. And I saw the opportunity coming into social to help continue to build the Walmart brand. Obviously, it's been a strong brand for decades, but build it through social. And so a lot of my experience there was staffing up a team with really social first creators and experts. Uh, resourcing ourselves with agency partners, one of whom is now my business partner at Beers with Friends, advocating internally for the importance of social, making sure not only were we resourced, but also we had a seat at the table at major campaigns and major moments. Not only was it about putting great content out into the world, but it was about being there for conversation and community management, everything from customer service to celebrities tweeting about us. And lastly, we had a very large local social presence on Facebook that at the time we were scaling over to Instagram and empowering our stores and the many associates that we have at store level who are creative, no, passionate about Walmart and its products and enabling them to really tell their stories about Walmart at the store level. So that was a lot of my experience. And I think while apps change and algorithms change and where everyone is creating content and having conversation can change over the years, what never changes is the importance of connecting with your consumers, telling your brand story, building with your consumers, and making sure that you're accessible, you're connected to culture, and you're really living your values and your brand through social. So those things are enduring, and I would encourage any social media managers at companies or the senior marketing leaders that are managing them invest in social. It's a really huge part of not just marketing your brand, but building your brand.
And likewise, I've been in video and marketing for big companies, but now I also help a lot of individual people with their own social and like empowering them to do it. And I I was really keyed into when you were saying the idea of having things be social first, because I talk a lot with my clients about the idea, and it's the same as companies, is like a white paper exists over there, right? TV exists on a TV. Like a photo exists on a photo. It's like you have to really create content for where it's going to live. You should meet people where they are. And similar to social, it's the same as podcasts. Like podcasts exist because like it's a different medium than video and has to bring a different thing. It has to exist how people are existing. It's on their commute or it's on a bike ride. And so really understanding that. So I liked how you were saying about social first and making sure the content itself is really made for that. And the other thing that jumped out to me is the idea of community management. So obviously a company is that looks like hiring people to literally be in there and like engaging with people. But I would say, individuals have to be doing that as well. Um, and what have, so this is like 2017, 2019. What have you seen is staying the same, and what are you seeing changing about those things? You said it's all about, connecting, storytelling, and being accessible and staying connected with your consumers.
Yeah, well, I think this is why you're such a great expert in this space as well, because I think those are exactly the right things that are staying consistent. I mean, every medium where you can be communicating with your consumers is really just an opportunity for storytelling and thinking about the channel first, why people are hiring it, so to speak. If you're a follower of Clay Christensen's jobs to be done theory, like what's the job people are doing when they're on social, and how do you meet them where they are? Maybe they're coming for entertainment, maybe they're coming for education, and so tailoring your content to what job people are doing when they're seeing your content or spending time on social is really important. I think what's changing, of course, not to be a buzzword user, but certainly AI is changing the game significantly around content creation. I mean, just a few years ago, I had a podcast and so many pieces of it were so manual. I now have a web series through Beers with Friends called CMO Pub Quiz, and the technology is just so much easier. It's faster to edit, it's faster to generate show notes. It enables content creation at scale. What you can't replace is the thinking, is what are the right questions to ask, that human judgment, what are
Yeah.
people really looking for? But some of the operational pieces are much more scalable now through AI and various platforms and technologies.
Yes, it's so true. It's one of the things that I remember the most when we were at Us Weekly. We had one of those fun things where you could like see someone age in a photo quickly. It would be like take somebody at age, 10,
Right.
14, 16, 18, 20, whatever. And my video editors, it would take them forever. It's so manual. And now it takes literally minutes. Like you just drop in a bunch of photos. And even if they're not like perfectly framed, like every apps can do it for you. It like I still remember that being such a major thing because that sort of thing used to be so manual and now everything's so fast.
Yep.
And so for you with that series, have you you're now doing this pub quiz. So you're just recording it on video and then you're using an app and it's basically cutting it up for you and creating all the show notes and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of human judgment. I mean, I and largely James, we go in, we make sure the questions that we're keeping in the final edit are the best ones and have our guests, in the best light or offering the most insight. But we actually designed the show to be easy operationally. We ask a lot of pub quiz, hit level questions like what's a marketing hill, you're willing to die on, what's a cringe worthy buzzword, what is, a trend that no one's paying attention to? And so it lends itself to really quick answers, fresh perspectives. And so the operation side of it is quite easy. And our guests are fabulous. So they do a great job of saying salient, resonant things in the first place. So,
Yeah. No, it is funny because, well, I always laugh. Clients come to me, they're like, "What tech should I get?" I'm like, "Step back. Like, who are you? What's your strategy? What da, da, da." But I do think that you're right. Once you get to the point where you're like, "I know I wanna do an interview type of thing. I know I want it to live in this sort of place," and then you kind of backwards engineer, "What app should I use?" Okay, now you're talking about what app should I use. What app do you use that you love? What are some apps that you're using that you're loving?
oh, I am an app user. I love to test everything. So, I mean, obviously, we're Google based, so we use Google and the Google suite of products. I use Notion. I'm trying a new CRM called Adio. I have used before Pipedrive and Copper and also use Notion. I use Granola for note taking. I've been using a tool called Text Expander to pre-write emails that will help me have templates all ready to go. So many tools. And lastly, another tool that I love actually is called Butter, and we use that. It's a video conferencing tool, so instead of Zoom or Google Meet, and I have to tell you, going back to brand and ways to build your brand, sometimes those experiences that are often overlooked in the operations of a brand or in the life cycle of a consumer are the ones where you have the ability to make the biggest brand impact by choosing a different tool or customizing the experience. So, for example, Butter has the ability to have waiting room music when someone's waiting for a meeting. We can brand the room if we have a client project, we'll create a special Butter room just for the client project and put their logos and have a branded experience in our conference call, and it's really memorable. Every time we have a prospect call, they always say, "Wow, I've never seen this tool Butter, and that waiting room was really incredible." And that's our very first touch point with potential clients. And so I always encourage people to think about whether it's your legal docs, whether it's your 404 page on your website, whether it's your video conference tool, find those moments where you can infuse your brand and people will remember it and you'll stand out.
I like that, idea of, like, I think it really speaks to a lot of people can't necessarily put the words to it, but they'll show somebody's website or they'll show their social and they just say, "I like what that person's doing." And it's my job to say, "Okay, what does that mean? What do you like about it? Do you like the look? Do you like the color? Do you like the audio? Is it the music they're choosing? Is it the way that," like, it's my job to analyze what that means, but I think it's that, when people say, "Oh, the je ne sais quoi," you're getting people to tell you exactly what it is that they like. But it is important where you exist and how you exist, and I think also I do so much training with people, media training and on-camera coaching, communications coaching. The first few seconds are really important, and so if you can set that into both the visual mood, but also, like, an energetic mood, like, you're giving them some nice music that's, like, maybe upbeat or relaxing or cool or whatever, and then you're reminding them and also I feel like it just reminds somebody, "You thought to do this." Like, you cared enough to do this because so many people are just like, "Alright." I'm the same way, I'm like, "Okay, Zoom meeting, whatever," you know? So I think that it's a really good reminder that people are impacted by little decisions as well.
Yeah, and I think they need to be guided by what your brand wants to stand for. We have a framework at Beers with Friends called Brand in a Can, and it walks people through the three ways to build your brand. The first is your internal ingredient, so who you are on the inside. The second is what's on the can, how you manifest that to the outside world. It could be your assets, it's definitely your actions, right? And the third is the impression that you wanna leave. What does it taste like? So in the beer metaphor, it's taking a sip of the can and tasting what your brand tastes like. And it's important because we've had people say back to us, wow, your agency brand is so refreshing. And all these decisions that we've made along the way, a different conference call experience, the way we price our offerings, how responsive we are, how quickly we work. We work in 5-day sprints and we build bespoke teams of the right experts for each project and brief that we take on. Those are really refreshing. Those are
Yeah.
different. Those are not how traditional agency of record relationships work, nor are they how you'd work with your internal team. And so it's not just about picking differences or doing things that are off the wall. It's about what is the impression that I want my brand to leave with people? And then what are steps that I can take to do that? And, I think it does come back to really asking yourself, if a brand is what people say about me when I'm not in the room, what do I want people to say about me? And how do I engineer a brand experience so that they say what I hope they'll say?
Yeah. I love that. I love that phrase about, what your reputation or your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. One thing I find is very interesting for corporate, but also for individuals is like when individuals think about it, it actually becomes this sort of negative echo chamber. It's like, I don't know what people think about me. What should they think about me? And instead, it's just like you said earlier, like live by your values and you already have a brand, whether it's the tone, the colors, whatever. But um, I think for a corporate, it's easier. Like in a company, it's like an objective third person thing. It's not your own personality and it doesn't feel as personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 things. Given we've known each other both in our 20s and in our 40s, I can say this quote that someone said to me, which is, "In your 20s, you're so worried about what other people think about you. In your 40s, you stop worrying what other people think about you. And in your 60s, you realize nobody was thinking about you all along." And it always gives me a good perspective, if I'm ever thinking, "Oh, I wonder what so and so will think." Actually, they're really probably not thinking about it, that much, but I think, it is important that you give the impression that you wanna leave and certainly don't leave the wrong impression, and I think what's so special about the services that you offer and how you help clients is sometimes you like you said, you think you know the answer, but you're not able to articulate it, and getting it out and having someone ask you those really sharp questions to help
Yeah.
get out the why behind what you're saying is really important.
Yeah. I always do a mini brand inspiration board with clients. It's like, even in a group coaching thing, I have every single person like identify things that they like, talk about what they are, what they stand for, because it's really hard. I mean, I think I basically help individuals create their brand and people who are not marketers. And so I think it's really all about communication. It's like, well, what are you into? What are you like? What's your personality like? What would people say about you? So it's the same kind of when I was in Netflix or Pop Sugar or Us Weekly, and we would be building like, the deck, the pre-deck, the brief, those questions. We are this, we're not that. I love this. We don't love that. We love this look. We hate this look, and so helping people on a smaller scale do that has been fun. And it's also like you're teaching people to think in a way that we've been taught for decades. These are the questions you ask. This is the next question to ask. This is the person you tap in for this. It's like knowing, okay, you like this, you like that. Great. Let's call on the graphic designer. Oh, you're not the graphic designer? No, I'm not the graphic designer. So just the idea of understanding who does what, how do we speak for ourselves? What do we stand for? Um, and really tapping into that. Okay, there was something that you had written in our I'm pulling back the curtain, guys. I always ask guests that are coming in to answer a couple of questions so that the conversation is even better. So you're not getting the 101 questions, you're getting the 301 questions. Um, Talk to me about what type of clients do you take on? Is there a commonality between industry, between sector? What type of clients do you take?
Yeah, I mean, the way we articulate it is ambitious marketers at challenger brands, and most brands are challenging something. So whether they're challenging their status quo as the number one, or they're trying to build a new category that doesn't exist, or they're a challenger brand in a challenger category, we work with entrepreneurial CMOs and entrepreneurial brands who are looking for ways to break through, who want to try a new model and do it differently, and share our belief and values that great ideas can come from anywhere. And sometimes outside perspective and focus is exactly what you need to get unstuck and move quickly towards your goals. So, our clients include brands like Dig, Grubhub, Violife, Manitoba Harvest, Curio, Good Wipes, Kizik, Virgin Galactic, Gorgie, Don't Ban Equality, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but those are some that come to mind, and they all share. A lot of them are seasoned marketing execs that took a job somewhere to really make a big impact and build a brand that's gonna break through, and they need to punch above their weight, and so tapping into Beers with Friends where you get myself and my co-founder, 2 seasoned, marketer and creative brains, 3 to 5 handpicked experts that are the right people for your brief, and we sprint for 5 days, jamming on your problem and coming out with what we call a blueprint, to crack your brief is refreshing. We move with speed, we move with focus, and we bring firepower to the table that you don't normally have access to.
All right, Dana, you ready to give me your exit in 5 words or less?
Yes. So I wrote 2. I don't know which one is the better one,
Let's
but
try them out. Let's audition them for the audience.
okay. Well, people can, if this makes the cut in social, you can leave comments which one is better. So my first exit from brand side to agency side. And my second exit is from marketing exec to agencypreneur.
All right.
So, yeah, see, if I was the copywriter, I would have written one clear, concise one, but because I'm the marketer brain, I'm like, here's all the ones that it could be, so people can let me know what they prefer. But I do think, I mean, I know the show is called Exit Interview. I think it was certainly an exit from corporate life, but it felt like a step forward, right? Not a step out the side door. And I say that because I think when people are thinking about transitioning and leaving something behind, there's always so much more to look forward to and more ahead of you. And so your exit interview is also your entrance step. And I very much feel that way about starting Beers with Friends. It feels like a step forward, an evolution. It feels like all of the feedback I've gotten over the years about my superpowers and my Achilles heel, figuring out where I'm happiest, what my gifts to the world could be. I feel like this was very much a step forward in the right direction, and I'm having a blast.
What's been the hardest part about going out on your own?
Like I said, I've been entrepreneurial my whole life. And so there wasn't really anything that was a surprise or particularly hard. I just think any entrepreneur has to have a real vision. I think it's like a video game. There's always roadblocks and weapons coming your way and bumps and things trying to throw you off course. And you just got to come in with a really strong vision and you'll be great.
And I would love to hear the lessons that you've learned from being an entrepreneur. And one of the first ones I know that you recommended that I was really intrigued about was that your baggage is your superpower. So I'd love to hear that because I know that so many of us get reviews and feedback. And I think at this point, hopefully in your life, you are aware of some of your strengths and some of your weaknesses. So, what does it mean to you that a lesson that you had learned as an entrepreneur, you saying your baggage is your superpower? What does that mean?
Yeah. So I think it's really easy to get advice and have people tell you why you can't. So, in the case of Beers with Friends, I've never worked agency side in my entire career. I've always worked brand side. And so there's a lot of people that look at that as baggage and say, "Oh, you've never been agency side. You don't really know how to build an agency. You've never lived this." But actually my superpower is that I've been brand side and I know what clients want and I know what the agency experience feels like from a client perspective. And that quote unquote baggage has become my superpower. And clients really trust us to understand their challenges. We speak their language. We built an entire offering that moves at the pace of modern marketing organizations. And my co-founder James always has this phrase, which is the problem contains the solution. It's another way to say the same thing, which is if you're feeling like something is a roadblock or a barrier or baggage, flip it on its head and figure out how to make it an advantage. And that's what gives you the competitive edge that everyone else in the marketplace doesn't have.
Another lesson you had mentioned, talk to me about customers. Like, how are we thinking about customers wrong? That you don't need every customer to like you, which I really like this. I think that it speaks to so much of what now people finally understand about social media. And I see this a lot. Talk to me about the customers that we're really going for.
Yeah, so I think in the early days of any business, It's easy to say when someone asks you, "Who's this for?" The most important thing is not to get everyone to like you. The most important thing is to get a fanatical group to love you, and that's the best place to start any business, and you can always build and scale from there, but getting a group to love you, to feel like they can't live without your product is really key to building that stickiness, that repeat behavior, and that loyalty that brands really need to succeed today.
And that strength and that fire can then catch on in other areas once you have a strength of the initial group.
Yeah, I think people are attracted to uh, to the idea that they can love something like you see in someone else while they're really passionate about that. I want that passion, right? Maybe it's not in the same thing, but to see someone happy, engaged, passionate, finding use out of something, I think we all want that in life. And so to build a group of super fans who genuinely love your product, that's going to pay dividends in terms of those customers coming back, but also referral business of others around you saying, "Wow, if they love it this much, maybe I will too. I'll give it a try."
Awesome. And then before we wrap up, I would love to know a funny or embarrassing work moment.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's probably too many. I have a given we're beers with friends, I have a fake beer here. So maybe this is a good time to take a fake chug and dish out an embarrassing moment. I don't know if it's an embarrassing moment, but I'll give you a fun one. When I was at Walmart running social, e we had an incredible moment where this young man, Mason Ramsey, went into a Walmart and yodeled, and the moment went viral, and we decided, "What an incredible opportunity. How do we make the most out of this?" And within a week, we, threw a concert for Mason Ramsey at his hometown Walmart. We all flew out to the middle of the country.
Amazing.
He even went on the Ellen show, and Ellen mentioned the concert, and it was an example of just people coming together, being scrappy, and making something happen.
So fun. That is so fun. I'm gonna share a work moment that's not as cute as that, is Liza Minnelli came in as a guest at a TV show I was working on, and, I'm, like, greeting her around. I was, like, in my 20s. I'm, like, greeting her around the room, whatever. She's like, "Where can I smoke in here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Minnelli, you can't smoke anywhere here." By the way, this is, like, way into the 2000s. This is not like in the 90s or 80s where maybe you could smoke inside somewhere. I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry you can't smoke inside here." "Nowhere?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll have to go outside." And it was just such a weird moment. I was like, "This is just so bizarro." Like, who thinks you could just, like, go inside and smoke in a bathroom in a building, right? At this era. And, so anyway, that just popped in my head
Yeah.
when you yeah, anyway, I was like, "This is so weird. No, Liza Minnelli, I'm sorry. You cannot smoke inside this bathroom because I will get fired, not you."
Well, I think, as it relates to Mason Ramsey, sometimes you don't realize the lessons in an experience until many years later. And, I think about throwing a concert in a week in the middle of the country for this amazing artist. And now, all these years later, when I think about what I'm doing at Beers with Friends, it's very much the same mindset of what happened that week. It was people coming together with a shared vision, all working towards a common goal and just making it happen. No egos, finding agency partners, flying across, getting internal approval.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I don't think I appreciated it until many years later, but that's the kind of magic that I think a lot of marketers live for. And it's hard to find. You're in budget meetings and you're doing the annual plan. And so often we hear from our clients, "This is my most fun meeting of the week. This week has been the most fun thing I've done this quarter." And just bringing some of that joy back into the job is really fulfilling. It's really fulfilling. And to be someone's, best meeting of the day, to be someone's highlight of the quarter, like that means a lot. You can see how teams get energized. It's not just a key stakeholder that's participating in these beer runs with us. Sometimes we had one client bring 9 stakeholders and participate, and everyone had their fingerprints on what we were creating. And there's benefits beyond the work. It also has a lot of benefits for morale and team building and energizing the internal team. So it's a lot of fun, and I think about that week, working on Mason Ramsey, quite frequently, and how a lot of that energy is what we're trying to replicate now with Beers with Friends.
Well, I think also, as you build your own company, you can say, just because something has been done that way doesn't mean we need to do it. And I think that that's something I noticed from corporate. I was like, as I was kind of on my way out, I'm like, why are there so many meetings? Like everyone's just sitting in meetings, but on typing on their computer while they're in the meeting. Like there needs to be fewer meetings so that the meetings we're in are like exciting and innovative and brainstorms and communication based. I just felt like and then also, the beginning of meetings, it's like always really awkward. Da, 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 da. And once I started building my own business, I saw from other people who had meetings, to your point earlier, they would set music at the beginning and it would be fun and it would be upbeat from the first second that you're coming into the meeting. And I think it just reminded me, oh, we don't have to keep doing meetings and you don't have to keep doing content. You don't have to keep doing communication. Everything doesn't have to be done the same way that you used to do it. You can actually just do it how you want to do it. You can decide this way is more effective. Like and I think for me, something I've learned is to your point earlier about the superpower. It's like I am high energy and a little bit loose and not super buttoned up, but professional. I can actually bring that, and that actually becomes my superpower. It actually becomes people wanna work with me because I make it fun. I'm so good at my job, I still have 20 years of experience, but you don't have to shy away from that, like, I call it pantsuit Kim. Pantsuit Kim felt like she had to wear some sort of, like, corporate pantsuit to meetings and in corporate, and now real Kim wears a magenta jumpsuit instead of
Yep.
a pantsuit because that's more real, and that's how I wanna show up as the actual me, and I think it takes a while because when you're young, you learn how to exist in this corporate world, and it's an amazing experience, and it's so valuable, but once you're working on your own, you say, "Ooh, I get to make the rules. I get to keep all the experience and all the value that I bring to clients, but I get to choose the box that we all sit in. I
Mhm.
get to decide if it's wrapped with a ribbon, with, black and white paper or newspaper or whatever. And so I think the idea is that once you're in charge, you do get to set the tone. You do get to decide the meeting's going to be so fun. It's going to be the client's best meeting of the week. And Dana, as we wrap up, I wanna make sure everybody knows how they can reach you. I know that Dana's main point of contact is LinkedIn. I know this because she has a very fun LinkedIn where it showcases all of her recent speaking engagements, which I've been sharing you on, and her pub quiz. So Dana, if you wanna let people know how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm just Dana Hork, Hork. And you can find Beers with Friends at bwfagency.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you, Kim.